Good afternoon, students. Can you hear me? Raise your hand. Good. So, how was your homework? You finished this test. Who think it was very easy? Who think it was very difficult? Okay, and the rest of you think medium. Well, before to go through this test, right? I left on the whiteboard explanation for previous group. You know majority of the stuff, but I want to, before I erase, I give a small introduction to geometry. Maybe it helped you. So it takes a few minutes, but what is it? I use idea of modern object-oriented programming. If you remember, once I told you about this. Why it's very important? Because many questions on the test based on geometry. And I see majority of questions you ask related to geometry. One of the reasons you don't see entire picture. You see different facts not connected to each other. Meanwhile, if you see entire picture, it would be easy for you to understand what is going on. So I use idea of object-oriented programming. If you remember, we don't have too much room here, but I spent a few minutes to show this entire picture. Let's say in computer science, in languages like C++, Java, many languages from Visual Studio.NET, modern languages. Not C. C is function-oriented, not object-oriented. Use idea of inheritance in classes. For instance, I give example. Class mammals. Okay. Usually in computer science, any class has attributes or properties. Attributes. And properties. For instance, attributes. You know, mammals are vertebrate, right? They have backbone. I give a couple of these. Backbone or vertebrates. Or mammal, they have milk gland. Or mammal gland. Milk gland. Etc. They have hair or fur for animals, etc., etc. Their attributes and some properties. And additionally, they have methods. Attribute of property usually represented by nouns. And methods, in some languages, we name it functions. For instance, they have, this is verbs. What can do? Verbs. For instance, they can regulate temperature. Regulate temperature. They warm-blooded. Okay. They have 4 legs, for instance. Four chambers of an heart. Diaphragm for basing, etc. This everything. I give example. Let's say class car. Car has properties: engine, or wheels, and method. It can move, let's say, or ignite. Or student, class student, has name, the first last name, social security number, method, thinking, or abstract thinking, move, etc., etc. This example, why it's very helpful. Everybody use gadgets, and all gadgets written by programmers. Behind this scene in programming, we use UML, Unified Modeling Language, which show this kind of diagrams. And since we have different games, you use different games, for instance, it was very difficult to create code for each of these game from scratch. Use the idea of inheritance. You name it is a relationship, or parent-child relationship, or we can name it ancestor-descendant relationship, where you inherited all feature from your parent. We're talking about these mammals. Let's say this is parent-child class. It has a class, let's say cat. And cat also has attributes or properties and methods. It's more specific. For parent, cat can be a parent for class, let's say leopard, or lion, or jaguar, etc. And why it's great in computer science, this idea? Look at this. If an arrow goes this way, this way, this way, it shows this subclass inherited from superclass. And you can tell that lion is a cat. Cat is a mammal. Lion is a mammal. In this case, to describe any subclass, in order to, for feature of mammals, we have tons of different characteristics. Instead of doing this, I said is a, it means inherited all this feature. If you're talking about you students, you have parents. With all features, attributes and properties, and methods, right? And you, this is child, or kid, class. You inherited all features. You study about genes, right? From your parents. So whatever they have, you inherited from parents belong to this class. Plus, you have your own features. Parents cannot inherit from you because you was created later. You can always say that child is a parent. Sometimes we have direct parent, like here. For cat is direct parent, mammals is direct parent. And lion is indirect. It based on this terminology, if lion is a child, right? Cat is a parent, and you can think mammals is grandparent. Law of control goes like this. This is extremely productive idea, and nobody uses it in math for some reason. I always see this, how it's connected, this biology stuff, with math, with geometry, for instance. I give fragment, pretend we have huge whiteboard. And this is part of geometry related to two-dimensional shapes. This is our superclass. And one of is representative of this quadrilateral, for instance, or when you have 4 sides, or triangle with 3 sides. If quadrilateral has 4 sides, quadri means in Latin 4, and lateral thinking, side thinking, is sides. You can see this is, if you're talking about this like a parent, child for this is, for one of the child is parallelogram. And you can write here all property of parallelograms. For instance, all opposite sides of parallelogram parallel, opposite sides of parallelogram congruent, opposite angles parallelogram they congruent, diagonals of parallelogram bisects, cut by half equals 2 pieces, etc., etc. These consecutive angles in one side we name consecutive, or if this is 2 parallel we name it interior angle on the same side. They are supplementary, always 180 degrees. So we have a bunch of features of parallelogram. Let's say method how to find area, find area, base times height. You know this from, it's straightforward for you, but anyway, look at this. This is base height, right? For perimeter 2a plus b. Now, when you're talking about rhombus, like you do have in your school, you're not supposed to use all this stuff. There is a philosopher, his name is Mirabeau. He said, your brain is not a garbage can. You're not supposed to memorize extra information. Use basic. In this, since rhombus inherited from parallelogram, all this feature automatically applicable for rhombus. And this is very important in this case. If wherever you have formal base times height, yes, it works, perimeter is the same. But since rhombus a parallelogram where all sides are the same, we have extra feature which belongs only to this rhombus. For instance, diagonals of rhombus mutually perpendicular, which we don't have for parallelogram, one feature. Another, area of rhombus is half product of diagonals. Sometimes in SAT, when you have only diagonals, you're not supposed to use Pythagorean, find altitude, just use this formula. So give another representative. So rhombus is parallelogram where all sides are the same. But we have another child for parallelogram, rectangle. What is a rectangle? Rectangle is a, you see, is a parallelogram where all angles 90 degrees. And it has own feature, 90 degrees angles. And diagonals of rectangles are congruent or equal to each other, for instance. I just give 2 examples of properties. They have a child of this square, very smart child. It has 2 parents. First of all, child is a rhombus, where all angles 90 degrees. And second of all, child square is a rectangle, where all sides are the same, congruent. So it inherited all features from these 2 parents. If it inherited all these 2 features, you have specific formula, for instance, for square. Area of a square from 3rd grade, you know, side to the 2nd power, but not everybody probably remember this formula, that area of square, since diagonals are the same, and square inherited from rhombus, is 1/2 of diagonal to 2nd power. The 2nd formula for area of square, in addition to formula which you use every time. Okay, keep in mind we have another quadrilateral, trapezoid, and the kite, for instance, you know kite, right? In kite, this is kite. If you take 2 opposite vertices, and this side and this side, they congruent. Okay. And area for kite is product of these diagonals. So in SAT question, many times I have seen a question. Question number one. They give you different shapes and ask you, is parallelogram a rhombus? What do you think? Who think parallelogram is a rhombus? Raise your hand. Okay. Is parallelogram a rhombus? Okay, wrong. Look at this. Student is a child. Student is, right? Child. And you are a parent. Is a means you inherited all feature of parents. Parents is not a child. Parent is a briefly means that who inherited from whom all these features. If I ask you, is parallelogram a rhombus, this would be wrong. Because parallelogram is a parent and rhombus is a child. If I apply formula, this formula for parallelogram, for area, it would be completely wrong. Because in parallelogram, diagonals not perpendicular to each other. But in rhombus, yes. Again, very important to look at this. In computer science, direction of this arrow show who inherited from whom. And how easy to answer if parallelogram, if square is parallelogram. Look at this. It goes this way. I continue go to this way. You see along of these arrows. And you see square is a parallelogram. Is rhombus a square? No. Rhombus is a parent. Is square a rhombus? Yes. Another kind of question in many tests, they ask you a question like this. Give all names for specific shape, and you're supposed to choose in multiple choice with answer correct. Let's say if I ask you question, give me all names for square. Number one, square itself. Let me stay here. Number two, square is a rhombus. Square is a rectangle. Three names. Square is a parallelogram. Square is quadrilateral. And square is 2D shapes. You have to go along of this chain. What is beauty of this? If you think about this in these terms, you're not supposed to memorize too much. Whatever you know for one feature, for one, all this you're supposed to know for one class, it's automatically inherited for all the subclasses, for all the childs. It's great idea of picture. It's from a new book. We're writing 17 books right now. You'll not find it any place on the internet. This is our ideas, right? I'll give one example for triangles. From first grade, you know that area of triangle base times height divided by 2, right? But another one, if you go, we have different kind of triangles, and equilateral triangle is a triangle, is a relationship. It has this old feature of this superclass plus his own feature, s squared square root of 3/4, area of equilateral triangle. It helps you to minimize memorization, whatever you have, everywhere. So far, so good. This I wanted to emphasize before to go through SAT test. And I will tell you a few words about different shapes. Let's say if we're talking about quadrilateral, I give you a few pictures and tell me difference. Who can help me with this? What do you think? Is it quadrilateral? The first one, A, B, C. Who think there is no this? This is 3 quadrilateral here. Hands down. Who thinks this is 2 quadrilaterals? Who thinks this is 1 quadrilateral? Well, we have 3 quadrilateral. This quadrilateral is this one. You name it concave, convex, and combined. You see 1, I don't know if I block this. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is combined quadrilateral. Why it's important? One more thing. If you use for 2D shape formula, for instance, total linear angles of any polygon is 180 times n minus 2. And since all classes inherited from this, right? This formula automatically applicable for any polygon, even these polygons. Okay. If you're talking about formula for triangle, okay, area. And for SAT, extremely important, another formula for area triangle. I can put here area of triangle is 1/2 A times B times sine of C. Very often, since you use scientific calculator, it's not necessarily the right triangle. Look at this. This A, this is B, and this angle C. If you have all these 3 parameters, you can easily get this area, and it's applicable for all kinds of triangles. Or if you have formula for area, let's say triangle, you can find perimeter of triangle, perimeter, like A plus B plus C. You can find semi-perimeter, small p, which is P/2. Semi-perimeter. And we have another. Sometimes in the SAT, they give you 3 sides. For 3 sides, we have here own formula. I don't have too much room. Area of triangle equals square root of P times P minus A times P minus B and times P minus C. Heron formula. Why it's important? We have 3 sides without any limited of time, without any angles. You can instantly get this area. And actually, you have huge whiteboard. I can put here any shape, quadrilateral, pentagon, hexagon, etc. But all this feature you start at the beginning automatically applicable for all of them. This is a great idea of is a relationship or inheritance. Well, it was fast because I already made this picture for another group. But if you have any question, ask me. No questions? In future, who gonna start working engineering and programming, the great idea. I love this idea, inheritance. Many features which you use in computer science, in addition to my method, I use in my course, polymorphism, etc. But this is not computer lecture today. This is just introduction. Now, let me raise you. If you don't have anything, don't have questions, I can erase everything, right? Good. and today is 26. And this is 32. And what we have? Trying to get in shape. Okay. She adds 5 minutes each day. 20 days. Well, if every day they add the same value, this is arithmetic sequence, right? We name it constant difference. For arithmetic sequence, you have a formula. A_n equals A1 plus D times n minus 1. Remember this? Arithmetic, just remember. Arithmetic sequence. N is position of elements. A1, the first element. D is constant difference. And n position of elements. Now, just plug in numbers. What they ask you? They ask you find A on 20th day. Now, what else is given here? Originally 20 minutes for the first day. Again, 20 minutes. And this 20 is not the same 20. And every day they have 5 minutes each day. Plus 5. And times 20 minus 1. If you count, you get the answer. This is typical arithmetic sequence. Any questions, students? If it were a geometric sequence, what we'll write for geometric? Just remind you. For geometric, an equals a1 times q to power n minus 1. This is constant ratio, and this constant difference. This grows faster. Geometric arithmetic, just remind. But another question can be arithmetic, geometric. Okay, next. So far so good. Again, if you have any question, ask. If you don't have questions, I assume 3.5 I already explained. We'll do this one. In 3.5 you have Cartesian coordinate. And conditional, I make this is 1, this is 2, and this is -2, this is 2. And we have, and this is schematically. And this is like kind of 3. And this go to this, to origin. Okay. And after that it goes like this and like this. And we have this graph. This is y, this is x. And the question is, which the following equals to 2? And this my function y equals f of x, and they ask you equals to 2. Now, Roman numeration 1, what we have? F of -2. Go to -2, it's not to scale. Not to scale build, okay? Well, it's supposed to go something like this, pretend. Well, if, look, I make closer to scale. -2, you go up, go to intersection, and you see f of -2 equals to 2 based on your graph. Again, -2, make vertical, point to intersection, go to the right. Yes, it works. Number 2. Number 2. F of 1. Absolute value f of 1. I just want to remind you what this absolute value means. By classical definition, absolute value it's equals itself if a is greater or equals to 0, or negative it's this value if a is less than 0. And f of 1 is not a function they ask you. F of 1 would be negative 2. But if I take different color and show this function how it behaves. So when the function above, when it's greater than 0, it's the same, it's itself. This itself. But when it's negative, you have to make reflection. You have to change sign. So it's supposed to be like this. This is my new function. I named this function y equals absolute value of f of x. This green one. Now, in the same manner, when I have 1, and this is my function, this is 1, I go up the point of intersection and read this value, this equals to 2. Yes, it works. Keep in mind, absolute value always change functions in this manner. Number 3. What do you have number 3? F of 4.7. F of 4.7. Since you have to scale, I just made schematical, I look at this picture, it's between, this is 4 and this is 5. 4.7 is something like this. You go up to point intersection, go to the left, and this equals to 2. Equals to, bingo. All of them work. So 1, 2, and 3 satisfy this set of answers. Okay, who understand this 100%? 100. Okay. Who has questions? I give you just, you never forget. I give example. For instance, y equals to x. Pretend you know, I don't know, 5th grade. Y equals to x, it goes like this, right? And this 45 degrees. But if I write function like this, absolute value of x, based on the same idea, when it's negative, it becomes positive. And this my new function, this one, like Nike, look like Nike. Let's check mine. Always. Well, let me erase everything. Any questions? No questions. It was question again. I'm gonna go through most frequent. If I miss something and really need help, tell me. But I'm gonna go through most request questions. Next is 3.6. 3.6. Cube root of x to power 15 times, nobody write second, they wrote 2, it's here. If nothing written, it's 2. Of x to power 8. Let me give, I just remind you formulas you're supposed to know. Formula number 1, a to power m over n equals nth root of a to power m. Or derivative from this formula. A to power 1 over n equals nth root of a. Next formula I need a to power m times a to power n. It's a to power m plus n. Okay. Good. If I need something else, I write it down. So this is more natural way when you use powers. According to this one, it's the same according to this formula too. Or let me write 1, 2, 3. Equal to 1 is the same as x to power 15 over 3. And this is the same like x to power 8 over 2. And it's the same like x to power 5. So 3 goes into 15 5 times. And this is times x to power 4. Equal for formula 3, when you have product for the same basis, you have x to power 9. Okay, so far so good. So again, rule of thumb, we have these radicals, always convert based on this formula to, it's more convenient to operate with. If you have any questions, ask me. If you don't have, let's go to next one. We have more students. Okay. 3.9. In 3.9, I use not too much space here or over there. So they have few graphs. Let's illustrate this one graph. This is 0, 1, 2, up to what? 3, 4, 5. And we have data. This is A. And for comparison, I have C. You can make all of them. In comparison, you have also 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And data, what is it, 5? And the question, we have B, D, etc. But the question is, which the following data sets appear to have the smallest standard deviation? You don't need to use formula like we have sigma, square root of this. We don't need. Because standard deviation shows how data spread. If it's spread less, standard deviation less. I make analogy like I did in previous group. Analogy. Pretend I don't know, maybe it's not nice, but this is a bread. We have the same piece of butter. And we have two pieces of bread. And one piece of bread is data is like you bought in this, I don't know, supermarket, and this is piece of butter. And this one, when it's soft, you spread it. And this butter is over there. Make this analogy to make it meaningful. In which case is less spread, this case or this case? This case. So if data spread less, it's concentrated in over there, not like entire bread. Send this standard deviation yet. You can use, if you use in scientific calculator, you can use famous formula we use every time for when they ask you to count. And I believe they're supposed to be square root of sigma from 1 to n, and xi minus nu, which is mean, minus mean. And this is coordinate of each point, but we don't need this. It's just visually for a few seconds. What is less? This is less. Any questions, students? Less spread, less standard deviation. Student, try not to use any application. Try to concentrate. Sam, you don't need anything, right? You come here to study.
Dr. Farber, it's my PDF file.
PDF file? But do you have Adobe Reader in your computer installed?
No.
So next time, it's for free. Install Adobe Acrobat Reader. It's for free. Download to your hard drive, and you don't need to use Internet Explorer every time on your browser.
Okay, thank you.
You will not have any temptation, students. Why you don't have break? Sometimes we have classes, we also have classes 2 hours without break, sometimes 3 hours with break, sometimes even 4 hours with break. A while ago, when I taught, I'm professor of computer science, and I taught professional programmers. We have, for 3 months, we cover program of 6 years of university. And we have lecture 10 hours without break. They only can go to bathroom, eat something in front of computer, work with this. For 3 months, we cover this entire college. Why? Because if you have break or you have some application, you lose your track of concentration. This is important. You understand? So try not to use it. Try to get perfect score. After break, you're still thinking about your chiburashkas. No breaks. You devote only to this, like in sport. Well, it was 3. Again, I go first of all through most frequent question. After that, if you have any difficulties, I explain any of this. Okay, make sense? Okay, let me see another one. Okay, where you have, this is not complicated, all of this. Again, if I skip some, let me know. Okay, 315. Again, anytime I can go back. In 315, Daniel Bangem, can you read it 315, please?
Based on the information above, if a student works 20 hours, approximately how much will he be paid for the work?
Based on information above. What is information above? This is graph we have, right? And you have best fit line, and this is 315. I just make schematically this graph, best fit line. What is it? It's salary in dollars, and this is hours. And graph goes like this, best fit line. I refer to the data you have. And if you look at this, look on this graph. If you have 8 hours, it's right age. Okay. How much you getting this? If I go to point to session, go to the left like we did today, they get $140. So for 8 hours, you get $140. And they ask you 20 hours. And 20 hours, I have no idea. From cross multiplication, you find this x. Okay, proportion. This proportional relation. Why it's proportional? Because it goes from 0 in this straight line. Proportional relation make proportion. So I'll not do this third grade population. If you need, I can. So far so good. Okay. Next is 16. 16, many soon ask. 316. Let's make a picture for 316. In 316, I have Cartesian coordinates and kind of like this. It would be not to scale. Kind of like this. And function, this function y equals to f of x equals to, I use this space, equals x, or f of x equals x to the fourth minus 4x squared minus 4. This function. If the equation y equals to -3, you have y is -3. Is applied to the plane. How many points of intersection with the function have? And they provide some value. This is about -13 here in the graph. This is origin, this is x. Okay. Well, I can easily find it must be symmetrical. And all this. I easily count this point. How? Since in this case y equals to 0, when x equals to 0, y equals to f of 0 equals 0 to the fourth minus 4 times 0 to the second minus 4, 0, 0, -4. So this is -4. And this -3. Okay. And they ask you when y equals to -3. I'll take different color. And y equals to -3, this is a line which is parallel to x-axis. And this one, not nice, but this is -3. And this y equals to -3. Now, actually they ask you how many solutions common they have. They have 1 point and the second point of intersection. So the answer would be 2. If they have 1 point of intersection, 1 solution, 2 point, 2 solutions. If let's say y equals to, I just make up some example. Let's say y equals to -7. How many solutions? Easy. This -4, this -13, this is -7. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 solutions. If y equals to -4, I have 3 solutions. It will be tangent to this. 1, 2, 3. Who understand this so far? Who has questions if it's too fast? So many questions visualized. Okay, can you hear me, students? Why not raising hand? Who can hear me, raise your hand. Now put your hands down. Down. Sam. Sam and Sava, put it down. Question. Who understand this up to this point 100%? Raise your hand. Elira, Sam. Elira, you understand? Or if you have a question, ask me. Let's mention this. You have 2 graphs. I just found this point, and y equals to, like you did in I did in 6th grade. When y equals to -3, this 1, 2, 3, -3, line goes like this. Y equals to -3. And they ask you how many points of intersection you have this graph and this graph. This graph, this one, and the second is green one, and you have 2 points of intersection. The answer is 2. Well, again, if you have question, better without hesitation ask me. All questions SAT easy. Okay. Next. Next, we have 317 as well. 317. Okay, I will close it. What do we have in 317? F of x equals to g of x minus, I believe, k. Minus k. And g of x equals to square root of 3x minus 2. Okay. The question is, and given f of 2 equals to negative 3, find k. Okay. So what is f of 2? Step number 1. Line up. F of 2 equals g of 2 minus k, and this equals to negative 3. So far, so good. What is g of 2? Step number 2. G of 2 equals square root 3 times 2 minus 2, which is 6 minus 2, 4. And if you take square root of 4, let's say, if we use positive, they say positive or not. Okay, you can consider two different scenarios. So g of 2 equals to square root of 2 is 2, or plus minus 2. Consider two different scenarios, plus minus 2. Since I have in this one, so if this is 2, right, and this is 2, plug in here is step number 3, minus k equals to negative 3. And subtract 2, subtract 2. Negative k equals to negative 5, or k equals to 5. Just 2 times Evelyn. 100% understanding? It was a question as well. Try to, yes, log in again, Elira. If you have difficulties with this, change your provider. Definitely you can log in again. So far, so good? Good, good, good. So next one is 17. Looking where you have most questions. Okay, 320. In 320, make a picture. Well, you have a parabola. I try to make it like this. And this parabola, this Cartesian coordinate tangent to this point. And we have PQ, PQ, and this is R. This is origin, Y, X. What else do we have? And we have equation of this line. Equation of this line, Y equals to X squared minus X plus 16. Okay. Let me write this like Y equals to f of X, like we did a few minutes ago. When X equals to 0, f of 0 is 0 minus 8 times 0 plus 16. I found this point P has coordinate X equal to 0 and Y equals to 16. So Y of, since this is parallel, Y of this point also 16. I don't have X. And what our goal is here? What is area of rectangle? Find area of rectangle. Well, if this is 16, you have this width of 16. And in order to find area of rectangle of fourth grade, you have to know the length of this. But since parabola is symmetrical, right? So far, so good. you can either plug in this 16 to the equation to any point, fine, or you can do another way. Looking how you can do it faster. For instance, how to find apex? Well, it's x equals negative b over 2a. Remember? In our case, if it is ax squared plus bx plus c, and negative 8 divided by 2 times 1, which is 4. So this is coordinate is 4, 0. So it means if this is 4, this is 4. Why? Because parabola always symmetrical against the vertex. So I know the length equals to 8 and height equals to 16 of width. So area of rectangle equals length times width, or 8 times 16. You can do another way. If you plug in this coordinate of point, you can also find the second intersection. But this probably it's faster. 320. So far, so good. If you have any question, ask me. But I explained almost the last question from section 3. Who understand the section 3, everything but after explanation? Okay, good. Ibrahim, you with me? Okay, good. Next, let's go to section number 4. Section number 4. What we have in section number 4? Questions, mostly past question. Okay. So few students ask me for 3 and for 4. Daniel Bangel, could you read it please for 3 and for 4? What's your question for 4? With introduction clause.
The cost C for maintenance on a heating system increases each year by 2.8%. If Mark paid $250 this year for maintenance, the cost T years from now can be given by the function C of T equals 250p to the power of T. What is the value of P and what is the approximate cost in 4 years?
Thank you. So let's do 4.3 first. 4.3. They said 2.8%. If you read this, if the same divide by 100, it will 0.028. Step not 2. They give you formula to save time. Let me write this formula: C of T and plug in equals to 50. And every year is this amount increasing. It's 1 plus 0.028 to power T. Good. Compare to formula which is given versus, let me line up. I will write this again. 250 times P to power T. You can see this is P. So P equals to 1.028. This for 3. Just compare these two values. If you look at the number 4.4, in 4.4, what the approximate cost in 4 years? Since you have this formula, let me write again. C of T equals 250 times 1 0.028 to power 4. If you and you have scientific calculator, if you perform, you will get the answer 279 about. So we name it cluster problem. They connected together. Before solve for 4, you have to solve for 3. Okay, so far so good. Next, if you don't have any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you do the second step in 4.3 again? I don't.
This one?
Yeah, why did you add 1 plus 0.28?
Look at this. Let me read this again. Very close. Okay. The cost of maintenance increase each year by 2.8%. It means every year it would be greater than previous by 0.028, right? And what is it? What is written here? They have P, let's see, a little bit small letters. Let me just to see what is written here. Okay, they give this formula. This formula is given. And what is in this formula? This P must include this increasing, because if you don't include increasing, what happens? 1 in any power would be 1. And you contradict what is given. It's just compound percentage formula, very, very similar to compound percentage that you have when you pay, when you deposit some money in a bank. And after that, you know, difference between simple interest and compound interest. Every year, amount of interest increasing, and they take consideration this value for next year. In our case, since every year increasing by 0.28, this coefficient of increasing every year. What it become? Look at this. I give you simple logic. For instance, originally 250, right? The next year, 250 times 1.028. Agree? Yes or no? You like percent. You can find percent increasing. This second year. Next one. 250 times 1.028. This is new value. And you take consideration this value. Multiply again by 1.028. So instead of doing these intermediate steps, we have formula. Amount of years, you multiply such amount of time, like you have power of this. Instead of multiplying every time by 1.028, you put 1.028 to power 4, right? 10% or maybe?
100%. I'm all good. Thank you.
It's like taxes. Or you came to store, in the store, you decided to buy iPhone. It's original 250, right? And now they increase price by 2.8%. What is new price? You multiply 1 for like we did for Mark Twain price, 0.28. Next, this phone becomes so popular, you suppose increase by the same amount, again multiply by this. In order to do this, we use this P to power T. Good, good, good. Let me see another one. It was 4344 in cluster. Okay, next, many students ask for 7. Let me read everything. 7. What we have, make a picture first. We have Cartesian coordinates, and we have a line. And line is y equals square root of 3 of x. Only was what the measure of radian of angle P or R. Where is this angle? This is P. This O. And where is R? And R is over there. So angle PR. Okay. Well, actually, if you compare this y equals mx plus b, y-intercept equals to 0. Our slope equals square root of 3. If you make this vertical, what is slope? Slope is rise over run. Or if this is square root of 3, this must be 1. Because if you divide this, you must get this one. And what is slope? Slope is tangent of this angle from another side. If you take triangle OPR, this right triangle, right? Okay, and tangent of this angle, tangent of angle POR equals to square root 3 over 1 or square root of 3. Now you have two options. If you remember this table that I explained by using finger, you can write answers straight ahead, or you can use artificial calculator. Since they ask you, let I see which radians. You know this angle equals to 60 degrees from here, because tangent of 60 equals to square root of 3. And what is 60? 180 degrees is pi radian, and 60 degrees, I have no idea. Cross multiplication, get pi over 3. Or you can do it mentally. 180x equals 60 pi, divide by 180, divide by 180. Okay. The answer is pi over 3. Any questions so far? Again, or pretend you forget this. So what you're supposed to do? Take your scientific calculator, put 10 to power negative 2 of x second. With that, I just remind you. Second, 10 to power negative 2, and this equals to square root of 3. The system gives you pi over 3 instantly. Up to you. Any questions, students? Okay. Can you do without knowing trick? Let's say you under stress, you forget what is trick at all. How to do it without trick? Well, look at this. I give you an idea. Let's say this is square root of 3. This is 1. And this ABC. This is fast, actually. More explanations than writing. It's one line, few second problem. And AB equals to the second equals 1 to the second plus square root of 3 to the second, which is 4. Take square root of both parts. Okay, and you get 2. So it means this is 2, this is 1. If this 2 and 1, this angle is 30 degrees. Why? Because leg opposite of 30 degrees equals to our hypotenuse. and this is 90. These two angles are what? Complementary, 60 degrees. Instantly get this answer. 60 degrees, everybody knows, is pi over 3. Any problem can be solved from different perspective. But better to use trig, it will be faster. Okay. Let me cross it. Again, I go through most request questions. Most request questions. Next is 411. Again, if I miss something and need help, let me know. 411. In 411, I can erase this everything. For 11, what we have? We have ax minus y equals to 1. And x plus 2y equals to 3. Is it correct? X plus 2y equals to 3, ax minus y equals to 1. If the line represents the lines perpendicular, they ask you to find a. A is question mark. Well, you can unscramble in format y equals to mx plus b. Let's say this one. Minus ax. Let me check if I wrote correctly. Let me see if I wrote correctly. Yes. So minus x and minus x. You have cancel out 2y equals negative x plus 3. Divide by 2 both parts. And you can write y equals to negative 1 over 2x plus 3 over 2. Now let me unscramble this one. Minus ax, cancel out. So negative y equals to negative ax plus 1. Multiply everything by negative 1. You have y equals to ax minus 1. And this is slope 1, and this is slope 2. If two lines perpendicular, the slope's negative reciprocal. So this is slope h1 equals negative 1 over m2, or negative 1 over negative 1 over 2, which is 2. Right? What they ask you to find. So far, so good. Okay. This was 11. Well, many students asked me for 12. In 412, oh, this text problem. Okay, Daniela, read this 412, please, out loud.
Okay, I have to pull it up.
Sure, you have to have in front of you everything. Because before my explanation, good if you have in front of you.
Okay, 412. Claire works 1 week and earns $A. If she had worked for 5 more hours, she would have earned $B. If the hourly rate is constant, what is the hourly rate?
Thank you. So what we know, nice reading, just have in front of your handout to help you a lot. 1 week they said, what is it, $8? Let me check again.
Yeah, it was $8.
$8. I want to be sure this is 8. Okay, what is given? And hourly rate, X is hourly rate. And Y is number of hours. If hourly rate is X and they work Y hours, if I multiply hourly rate times Y, I will get A. But from another side, they said, very close. They said if, lose one piece of information. Okay. If she had worked 5 more hours, she would have earned $5. So hours would be Y plus 5. Hourly rate the same, and she'll get B doors. Now apply distributive property xy plus 5x equals to b. But what is xy? Xy, just grab it and plug in over there. This is a. A plus 5x equals to b, or not to b. Minus a and minus a. You will have 5x cancel out, b minus a. How to find x? The y was part by 5. Simple logic. So far, so good. If you have any question, ask me. It was for 12. Okay, let me cross it out. Let me move to next one, which you ask. Again, I go for mostly class questions. If you have any question for previous, let me know. Next is for, let me see what I have here. 17. What we have in 417? In 417, they give you a function. What function is it? F of x equals to 2x squared minus 3. If they said 1 over 3 f of square root of k equals to 3. Find k. Well, what is, let's find this one, f of square root of k. As usually, select Control-C, Control-V over there. Line up f of square root of k. Now x equal to square root of k equals to, I believe this 2x squared given, right? Be careful, 2x squared? Yes, 2x squared. It would be 2 times square root of k to the second power minus 3, or equals to k minus 3. And now plug in instead of f of k, you just found this, right? You can write 1 over 3 times 2k minus 3. And this equals to 3. Well, I multiply both parts by 3. Cancel out this 2k. I get 2k minus 3 equals to 9. Plus 3 plus 3. 2k equals to 12. They ask you to find 1k. Divide by 2. K equals to 6. So far, so good. 417. Okay. Any questions? 418. If you have any question, ask me. Raise your hand who understand up to this point, everything. Evelyn? Shakru? Shakru? Yes. Good. I believe, students, you're making notes of this, right? Everybody, whatever you're writing, must take notes, because at home you redo this again. 418, let me make a picture for 18. And we have Cartesian coordinates. And we have two rays. This ray is A, point A, which is 6 square root of 3 and 6. This point, another ray, B, which is, this is B, negative 6 square root of 2, 6 square root of 2. Okay. What the measure of, in radians, angle AOB? They ask you to find this angle, this O origin. Like we did before. Well, make this perpendicular and make this perpendicular. What is our strategy? Well, this way, we'll find this angle from this triangle, find another angle from this triangle, and subtract total of two angles from 180 degrees, because it's straight line. So far, so good. I will name this angle 1 for simplicity. And this is angle 2. And tangent of angle, since this is 6 square root of 3 is x coordinate, and this 6, you can write easily that tangent of angle 1 equals to opposite or adjacent. 6 divided by 6 square root of 3, cancel out, and normalize. What is normalize? Get rid of denominator's radical. And this square root of 3 over 3. You can use scientific calculator like we did negative 2. Or based on this table, you know this is angle 1, I will write here, equal to 30 degrees. Or use scientific calculator, step number 1. Step number 2, angle 2. In the same manner, tangent of angle 2 equals, this is negative 6 square root of 2, and this 6 square root of 2. Even without counting, this isosceles right triangle, so both angles 45 degrees. You don't need this to do this. Isosceles right triangle, angle 2 equals to 45 degrees. You don't take consideration sign. We need value of this, absolute value. Angle 2 equals to 45 degrees. Step number 3. Angle AOB equals 180 minus 30 plus 45, which is 75. 180 minus 75 is 105 degrees. And the very last step, step number 4. 180 is pi radian. 105? I have no idea. X times 180 equals 105 times 5. Divide by 180, both parts. And you can simplify by, I believe, 15, right? If you simplify by 15, which answer they represent in terms of pi? Yes, in terms of pi. If we divide by 15 this and this, I will have 7 pi over 12, check mark. This is 418. So far so good. I step back. If you have any question, ask me. Next is 419. 419. Let me read this one. I can erase it, right? In 419, we have a hexagon. Not to scale, but pretend this is a hexagon. And this Cartesian coordinate and what else do we know? Okay, P with coordinates AB, A, which is 40, A, which is 40, okay. The figure show a regular hexagon with side length of 5. Every side is 5. 5. What's the value of A? Where is A? A you have to find this one. Well, and what about this is 40? What do you know in hexagon? You can use formula, for instance, right here. 180 times n minus 2 and divide by n. By y, you know this, every angle in hexagon is 60 degrees. 120 degrees, sorry. If you count, you also get 120. Why we did it? Because hexagon is wonderful shape. If you connect all of them, sorry. If you connect all vertices, you have equilateral triangle. Each equilateral 60, 60, 60, 120. If this 120, I don't use extra lines here, not to confuse you. This is 120, all angles 120. The supplementary is 60. Okay. If I make perpendicular PH, B, C, what is H? A, let me read this formula, I need room. A is this distance, because A is x coordinate of this point P. This is A. And look at this. This equals to 4. This equals to 5. Why? It's given. This equals to 5. And you can solve it in one line. A equals to 4, this piece. Or you can use addition postulate, we name it. Length of segment equals total of lengths of separate pieces. Is 4 plus 5 plus 5 times cosine of 60. or cosine of 60, you know this is 1 over 2. The same like 1 over 2. Just multiply, you get the answer in one line. One line problem. Any questions, students? Who understand up to this point everything? Raise your hand. Shahruh and Ibrahim. Okay. Good. This is 18. Next is, we have, this was 19. 19. Explain. 19. Let's go to next one. It was 419. Next is 421. In 421, what we have? Let me write without mistakes. X minus 1 in parentheses, open parentheses, x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals to 0. What the following is solution of the equation above? They ask you solution. Well, let me check if I wrote correctly. When it's equal to 0, either this or x equals to 1, or x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Well, to solve it, since I don't see integer solution, we use a formula for quadratic formula. X, the first, the second, equals 2a minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Remember? Just plug in everything what we have. So x, the first, the second, equals, since a equals to 1, it would be 2. 2 times 1. Minus 2 plus minus square root of 2 to the second minus 4 times 1 times 1. Which is negative 2 plus minus 4 plus 4, 8 divided by 2. Or negative 2 plus minus square root of 4 times 2, x squared, the greatest perfect square, divided by 2. Or square root of product equal product of square roots. It's equals negative 2 plus minus square root of 4 is 2, square root of 2 over 2. Okay. And look into multiple choice. You can use butterfly rule like we did in 3rd grade. Divide each of this. It would be negative 1 plus minus square root of 2. And the first value is 1. And another solution is 1. This is D. What I did, just apply quadratic formula, nothing else. So far, so good? Questions? No questions. 422. Very fast. In 422, let's make a picture. A, B, E, C and D. And AB, where is AB? AB, in math we denote it parallel to CD. They parallel, it means parallel. Whether the following must be true? Well, if they parallel, these two triangles are similar. Why they similar? Because they have vertical angles and alternate interior, A. So these two triangles similar. You can write triangle A, what is it? ABE, similar to triangle CDE. Every time prove for yourself, because seeing is not believing. And now look at multiple choice, what we have here to save your time in multiple choice. So this parallel side AB to this of small triangle to CD, like this side BE to corresponding side EC. It's it, piece of cake. So far so good. Any questions about this? No questions. Can you see some questions in SAT take seconds, which is good because some of them, all of them easy, but some of them only take more steps. That's it. Similarity of triangles. Again, if you have any question, without hesitation, ask me. It was 422. Next is 423. What we have in 423? Only question to write it correctly. F of x equals 2x cubed plus 3x to the second plus ax and plus b. Is that correct? 2x cubed plus 3x plus x plus b. In addition, you have a line. Let me save space. I make a line here. Graph. I make a graph over there. It goes kind of like this, kind of like this, kind of like this, and like this. This is 2, 0, -3, -6. Okay, this is my graph for this way. A, B are constant and intersect X in 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Let's get to find A. Well, when you know f of 0, like this point is given. What coordinate of this point is x equal to 0, -6 from this graph. If I plug in f of 0 equals 0, 0, 0, I get v. And this equals to -6. If you plug in. So v equals to -6, I found instantly. But my target is not v. My target is A. I have another point which is given, for instance, this one. When x equals to 2, f of 2 equals 2 times 2 to the third plus 3 times 2 to the second plus 8 times 2. And instead of b, I plug in -6. This goes over there, which is 8 times 2 is 16. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2a minus 6. And this equals to 0. Why? Because the coordinate of this point 2, 0. And this equals to 0. Now 16 minus 6, 10. 10 plus 10 plus 12 is 22. Plus 2a equals to 0. Minus 22 minus 22. Cancel out to a equals to negative 22. Divide by 2 both parts. Negative 11. So far so good. Student, any questions so far? It was 423.
Can you show the board for a second? I need to copy down the bottom. Thank
I will
you.
not erase it. I will leave it for you, except for graph. Graph you have in your notebook. I use this part of whiteboard. Let me see another question we have. Another questions if you have. Or 25. Okay, who read 425? Somebody? It's word problem. Anastasia, please. Anastasia, 425.
A certain dancing group does not receive applicants whose height is less than 5 feet or more than 6 feet. Which of the following inequalities can be used to determine the height, h, in feet of applicants who are not accepted in the group?
Okay, thank you. Dancing group does not receive applicants whose height is less, too small or too big. Let me illustrate. Typical question, nice reading, Anastasia. And what we have here, let's say this is our height. And what is given, this is 5 here. And this is 6. And I believe not included, right? This one. If you're too small or too tall, you will not include it. And this typical midpoint algorithm, we have many times. I told you, if you go to a nice college in engineering, you study tolerance and landing. All mechanical engineering based on this idea, you have to have certain distance between different details to make it contact to each other. And what steps we have here? Step number 1, without thinking, midpoint. X midpoint equals 5 plus 6 divided by 2, 11 over 2, which is 5.5. And this is midpoint is 5.5. Step number 2, you have to find distance to borders, delta. Delta, this one and this one. Since midpoint, this distance must be the same. So delta equals, let's say, since this is 6, and you subtract 5.5, you have delta equals 0.5. So distance from this point to borders is 0.5. And step number 3, plug in to absolute value. Since our variable height, and you subtract from this value 5.5, and result, you see, be careful. The result, they will not accept it. So if this is distance is greater, will not be accepted. This is typical variable. You put here delta, and this always supposed to be satisfy this variable minus midpoint is greater than delta. Remember what topic is related to? We did many times in SAT, remember? No, you don't remember? I told you about Swiss watches, right? Why is Swiss watches mechanical so expensive? It's not only brand, but we name in mechanic is selective assembling. When you have two meshed gears, okay, it's impossible physically make two gears, meshed gears, with zero distances between them. Impossible. Distance always will be more than zero. And since it's almost impossible, what they do? They provide special device on conveyor. They put thousands different mesh gears. After that, people and technician and white gowns, absolutely clean air. They measure under microscope each of these tiny gears and created a table. Now a robot do this. After that, they choose among of 1,000 different gears to a pair which perfectly match each other. It takes a lot of work on this. If you take Chinese watches mechanical, it's like this, you know, big distances. In our case, if it were meshed gears, I would change sign. They supposed to be less particular distances, microns. Use this idea a lot in SAT. So far, so good. Just 3 steps without thinking. Midpoint, distance to the border, put absolute value. Okay. Okay. I'm looking for question where you have most questions. It was 425. I explain again. Many students ask me for. Let me find these questions. Okay, let me see. For 431, some reason. I explain, I believe, this question, right? Let's do it very fast with you. 431. Make this picture first. Not to scale. A, B, B, C, D. Tangent of BAP, this one, given. Tangent of BAP equals to what? Is 1/3. Tangent of CDP equals to 2/5. Find BP to what? CP. What I recommend? This is X, this is Y, this is Z. And tangent of BAP, equals opposite to adjacent, X over Z. And this equals to 1/3 given. Tangent of PDC equals to y to z. These two opposite sides of it are the same. And this equals to 2 over 5. What is BP? It's x. What is CP is y. We have two equations. If we divide this by this, what I have? X over z, left part, right part. Keep, change, flip. I put upside down. Times z over y equals 1 over 3. Change division to multiplication times 5 over 2. Cancel out, and you get 5 over 6. Simple, typical question. Okay, 4:34. So far, so good. In 4:34, what we have? Arrow, shot upward, and you give equation. H equals to 3t times 18 minus t. This equation is initial velocity. Initial velocity, I just write for myself, equals to 54 meter per second. What else? I return to the surface. If the height given by equation above, what the maximum height in meters that the arrow can reach? Well, let me open parentheses. I can h equals to f of t equals, let me switch order to save time. It's negative 3t squared. Okay. Plus 54t. And you know from physics or from previous, if you shot like this, and this is V0, it goes by parabola, symmetrical parabola. This is height and this is time. And parabola symmetrical, it's not like my picture, symmetrical. And this is apex. And how to find apex? Easy. We did it today. Apex is, for instance, x equals negative b over 2a. Since b is 54 and divide by 2 times negative 3. And it's 54 minus plus 54 over 6, which is 9. So I found this in 9 seconds. I get maximum. But what is maximum is? I plug into my function h max equals f of 9 equals negative 3 times 9 to the second. Or you can plug into this one, it's even faster. Negative 3 times 9, 18 minus 9. And what we have, 27 times 9. Okay. And this is what we have. We don't have negative. If you multiply, you get 243. And what this will ask you. There is another way, even faster. You came up with faster way. Look at this. When this second way, h equals to 3t times 18 minus t equals to 0. Why? Because here 0 and this 0. When is 0? When t equals to 0, or t equals to 18. This 18. So medium is 9. And after that, you do the same way. Actually, pretty much the same. There's famous book written. Have you read this book written by classic of world literature? His name is Yaroslav Gashek from Czech Republic. It was written before, many years ago, before World War I. And this name of the book is Adventure of Great Soldier Schweik. And this Schweik was very smart person. And when World War I became, he decided not to go to army. And he wanted to imitate that he is kind of helpful and kind of cuckoo from another side. And he came to officer, said, I invented a new way how to shoot from the corner. What do you mean? Let's say this is a fortress and this is building, right? And he said, I can have a gun and I'm here and I can reach this target over there. This target from the corner. And his idea based on this problem. He said, look at this. You know, when you shoot, the bullet goes by parabola, right? Like this way. This way. Now he said, let me put on the horizontally, and now bullet will go this way. This is his idea. Maybe it makes nice recalling when you solve this kind of problems. Well, students, let me see. I explained almost 3 class questions. Almost 3 class questions, except for 438. 438. In 438, let me read everything. In 438, we have g of x equals to f of x plus k. F of x as a linear function, k is constant, and g of 2 equals to 10, and g of 5 equals to 18. What value of f of x? Let me find the g of 2, like we did today. G of 2 equals 2 times f of 2 plus k equals to 10. Or, so far so good. If I divide everything by 2, I will get what? F of 2 plus k over 2 equals to 5. From another side, g of 5, if I plug in to this linear function, I will have 2 f of 5 just plug in plus k, and this equals to 18. Again, if I divide everything by 2, this 9 cancel out. I get f of 5 plus k of 2 equals to 9. Now let me write this beneath of this. F of 2 plus k of 2 equals to 5. Okay. If I subtract f of 5 minus f of 2, what I'll get? I get f of 5 minus f of 2 equals to 4. Good. How to find slope? The slope is, I use this space, equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 is actually 4. And x2 minus x1 is 5 minus 2. Is 4 over 3. So slope equals to 4 over 3. Check mark. Slope of f of x. So practically I explain all of most reclass questions without exception. And if you need any assistance with question which is not most reclass question, you can ask, I explain. No questions. Okay. Well, let me give you homework.